Today we're going to talk about a worry monster. And I love this topic. I think it's really, really effective for children, especially about 10 and under. However, even though older children, tweens, and even young teens probably won't respond to you calling it a worry monster, the idea is really helpful for anybody, even adults, dealing with anxiety. So the idea behind a worry monster is that you're externalizing the anxiety that they're experiencing and the crazy thoughts that they're feeling and removing it through this externalization that it's not them, it's the anxiety, which is separate from them. So this video will focus on me calling this externalized anxiety a worry monster, but know, your child and whether or not they will respond to that term, or if you might just want to call it a worry bully. Sometimes you can use it as that one's on this shoulder, one's on this shoulder, and refer to sort of themselves on the one shoulder and the worry or the anxiety on the other shoulder. But the idea behind all of this is exactly the same, whether or not you actually refer to it as a worry monster. The idea is to understand the process of externalizing anxiety. So, as I mentioned, anxiety should be externalized as it's not part of your child and therefore not something that they're relating to or feeling bad about as part of themselves. Because many children, tweens, teens, even adults with anxiety start to feel really down on themselves. They have a negative self-worth because they can't understand why they're thinking these thoughts, and they're scared of everything, and they're not doing activities that they really want to, but fear is holding them back. So externalizing it allows them to look at it from an outside perspective and still keep their dignity and self-worth intact. So for young children, the idea is to present the idea of a worry monster. And you do this by having them create, whether it's paint, clay, a simple drawing with crayons and colored pencils, but they're going to draw this awful, terrible creature however they want it to look, the big head, 4 eyes, 7 horns, ugly colors. Whatever they want it to be. Maybe it's just some random creation, doesn't look like a monster at all. But they're drawing essentially what their anxiety looks like to them. Once they've done that, they can name it. Sometimes children call it the worry monster. They may call it meanie. When my daughter learned about this and created her worry monster in 2nd grade, she was really cute. She said she did not want to give it a name of anybody she knew because she'd feel bad that this was like a bad guy and she knew that name. So at the time she didn't know a Sam. So her anxiety became Sam. And we still talk about it to this day. We don't use it the way that we did, but we definitely used it authentically as a worry monster named Sam when she first externalized her anxiety. So once you have the drawing and the name, it's really important that you start referencing the anxiety as the worry monster by its name. So in our case, we reference Sam. And so the idea is when you see the anxiety happening, rather than turning to your child and saying, something about their anxiety, why are you doing this, or what are these thoughts, you say something along the lines of, oh, I see Sam is making you have some feelings of apprehension right now. I see Sam is trying to get you not to do this right now. I see Sam is trying to scare you right now. And therefore, it's not your child doing those actions, it's the anxiety. So when your child starts to do something, you actually look at them, but talk to Sam, or talk to meanie, or talk to worry bully, not to them. And then your child should in turn also talk to Sam. So while you two are having the conversation, you're both talking to Sam, and you're trying to help Sam leave and your child regain the power. So some examples might be maybe a child that is germophobic and you're noticing is not touching the doorknob. You may say to your child, let's call your child Sally. You may say, hey Sally, I see that Sam, the worry monster, is sneaking in right now because you're looking at that door handle but you're not touching it. What is Sam telling you right now? And your child might respond with the fact that Sam is telling her, if I touch that doorknob, I'm going to get sick because it's gross and full of germs, and that's awful and scary. And so Sam has really scared me right now, and I don't think I can touch that doorknob. And so you would in turn say, well, I know Sam's telling you that, but what do you know? And in those cases, then you're having some dialogue, and your child if he or she has had some therapy and some knowledge on this, would explain that Sam is just a bully and just trying to scare her, and that touching a doorknob does not make her sick, maybe because she knows she washes her hands before she eats, whatever you've come up with. But the conversation revolved around Sam and not your child. Another case would be a child who's afraid to go to school in the morning. Let's call this child Jake, and we'll say that their worry monster is just Meanie. So Jake is getting ready for school, and you can already see the fear in his eyes. So a parent would respond to Jake by saying, "Oh, I see that Meanie is coming back right now. Meanie's really starting to tell you some awful things about school today. How are you responding to Meanie?" And that's when Jake, assuming he has these skills because he's been to therapy and, talked to a counselor, or you've done some work with him at home, would respond to Meanie by saying, "Well, I told Meanie that it's not the boss of me. I'm in charge. I've been to school before. I can do it again. And that if he tries to bother me at school today, I'm going to tell Meanie to leave me alone." And then you can congratulate Jake on standing up to Meanie, and being proud of Jake for doing what he needed to do to get through that. Now, this is not some magic potion that as soon as you start talking to the worry monster, your child's anxieties disappear. This is part of the process when your child understands anxiety and has those skills to really build upon, to show that they can work through their anxiety and they don't have to listen to these externalized fears. So it's a part of the process, but it's a really, really tangible way for children to separate themselves from their anxiety. So I encourage all of you, if your child does not have any understanding of anxiety at this moment, but they're really fearful of, maybe it's many things, maybe it's a specific thing, that you explain to them what anxiety is. GoodbyeAnxietyHelloJoy.com has several different tutorials on there explaining how you can explain anxiety to a child. I always encourage every single family that's dealing with any kind of anxiety that you see impacting their life that's above and beyond what would be considered typical, to see a therapist with the knowledge and experience of working with children with anxiety, because it can spiral very quickly. And as a parent, oftentimes your anxiety is spiraling or heightened during these times. So that outside medical professional really can save the day and change the dynamics of everything. But through that knowledge you're gaining from a counselor, or if you're unable to access counseling, hopefully through different resources on the internet or books, you can introduce a worry monster that your child can then have with them all the time. It can be presented to school so that the teacher's using the same language. Hang a picture of that worry monster on your refrigerator, on your door, carry it in the child's pocket, but you really want that to be there as that externalized part, not part of them. So share some amazing drawings with us. Share your child's worry monster name. I think it's always encouraging to hear how this has helped children. And the more fun and humor that you can invoke into this, the better for everyone. So please share your thoughts below, and I hope this helps you all as you move towards externalizing anxiety through a worry monster.